Okay, there we go. Now you can hear me. What's up, everybody? I am your host, Dr. Isaiah Felder, a millennial mindset influencer. Listen, I'm so glad to be back with you guys. Normally we are on Monday nights. Every Monday night at 9 p.m. But tonight I have something special for you. Um, and it's worth it. I'm learning that everything that we do in life and everything that we're supposed to do in life is worth it. May not always be worth it, in that moment, but that long haul, that long stretch is definitely worth it. So I am super excited to be on here with you guys tonight, especially to have my special guest with us. But I'll introduce him in just a second. Tonight we're gonna go right ahead into our hot topics of the week. Now, check this out. I want to start with these because, and I want to move quickly. But I I I was reading something the other day, and I'm learning that reading is fundamental. That's funny that I'm saying that because of course, I had to do a lot of reading when in school, but I'm learning as I'm getting older that reading is fundamental. But I came across this question: do you have a 5-year plan, and do you follow it to the T? Um, I don't know. What do you guys think? I have a plan. I'm gonna say this. I have a plan. Has my plan gone the way that I wanted it to within that 5 year span? No, not exactly. But um, you know, I believe that when you have a plan, sometimes you have to make some alterations to it. Just like when you have clothes, if they don't fit, you got to take it to get it altered. So I believe sometimes with your plan, some people do follow it to a T. Um, but sometimes you have to you got to switch some stuff out. So I don't know about this one. You can leave if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, welcome. You can drop your comments to these topics right in your comment section. But I don't know. What do you guys think about it? I have one. I don't always follow it to the T, but I have one. Um, so that was pretty interesting to me. Hot topic number two. Two African American siblings. It is a boy and a girl. Their names are Greg and Tracy Pickett out of South Carolina. They are principals in the same school district but different schools. I found this interesting because, um, you know, when I was growing up with my siblings, we always thought that we would, do the same things, kind of, especially when it came to church. Like we always thought we would all be in the same church together and all of that, but it didn't work out like that. But to have two siblings in the same school district, they know just about the same things, um, but you're getting different insights from both of them. I think that is a cool thing. I definitely think that they will rock that school district, and help them grow and flourish and get to where it needs to be. And finally, our last hot topic. Now, this one, this one hit home a little bit. I don't know. This one hit a little home a little bit. So, hot topic number three: is timeout better for discipline or whippings? Now, let me be very clear. I grew up in a Christian household, so I was more used to whippings than timeout. Um, I had the type. I grew up with my grandparents, so I had the type of grandparents that would say, hey, you went to school, you showed your behind, you know, come get this whipping. And it wasn't like we were getting whippings all the time just for anything, but it taught us, not to do what we did. And I'm not saying that whippings are, that's something that you should do, but sometimes timeout don't work. It does, especially in this day and time right here. Timeouts are just not working. You can I don't care how much you put little Johnny in the corner. It's just not gonna work. Little Johnny is gonna go back to doing what he was doing. And nowadays, little Johnny might cuss you or hit you, depending on where little Johnny came from. So, I don't know about this one. All I'm saying is, I have children now, and let's see what the comments say. Spare the rod, spoil the child. That's what I grew up on in the good book. And I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna move on. I had one of those grandparents that uh had a paddle and they had scriptures on it. They had scriptures on it. So when I would get spankings, he would quote the scriptures on the paddle. One of them was Proverbs. I don't remember it verbatim, but I was like, listen, if if whippings are this bad, I need to get it together. And then you really tell your age, and I promise you I'm moving on. You really tell your age if you got whippings when your grandparents or your mom or your dad told you go outside and pick your own switch and don't come back with a short one. Yeah, you knew you was in trouble then. So yeah, I don't know about that one. I definitely think this generation, if they're gonna bring prayer back into school like they are, you might as well just bring back something other than timeout because timeout's not working at all. All right, it is time for our quote of the week, and our quote of the week is very simple. Um, very simple. Every day this week is an opportunity for you to become a better you. Every day this week. That means every day you get up, every day you see the sun shine on you, every day that you breathe in fresh air. Make it an opportunity for you to become better, bolder, brighter. Make it, make it your mission that day to say, hey, I wasn't able to accomplish something yesterday, but I can do it today. And if I don't do it today, Lord's will, I can do it tomorrow. But make sure every day this week you become a better you. Once again, thank you for coming on to the Late Night Madness Show. We are here every Monday night at 9 p.m. But tonight I have an exclusive for you, and I have a very special guest who is waiting to come in, and I can't wait to bring him in. Um, I have been following this gentleman for a very long time now. I want to say it's been about 3 to 6 months. I've been looking at his page, popping in and out on his lives and getting some of that information, from him and seeing what he does in his community and seeing what he does in his church and for his leadership and for his people. Period. They call him the people's bishop, and I had to, look up what he was doing to find out why he was the people's bishop. Because most times when you hear, bishops or apostles, they're not down to earth. Some of the, I'll say a majority of them are not down to earth at all. Um, and this gentleman is really down to earth. Um, and he's awesome, but I'm gonna let him explain all of that to you. But you guys already know what time it is. It is madness time, and I am so excited to go ahead and let's get this conversation rolling. So without further ado, I am going to bring out to you guys the man of the hour, Bishop Kevin Foreman.
What's going on? Listen, I'm so excited to be here with you. It's madness
How
time.
are you,
Listen,
Bishop?
I'm so hyped from the intro. I'm hyped.
How are you, sir?
You know what? I am well. Listen, nobody gets me on a Saturday but you. Nobody gets me on a
Okay.
Saturday but you. I am super
Okay.
excited to be here with you. Just love what you were just talking. Listen, I got to just be honest. I started cracking up when you said the scriptures were on the paddle. Listen, I'm going to beat that word into you. You're going to get
Right.
it today.
Right. Listen.
I love it. I love it. But
Listen.
no,
You.
I'm super honored and excited to be with you today and just salute you for all of the great work that you are doing in your heart and even navigating through some challenges and transitions over the last few weeks. Just want to let you know we're praying for you and excited about your future. Isaiah 66:9 says, the Lord says, I will not allow pain without birthing something new. And so I just believe that something new is about to manifest in and through your life. And so I'm just glad to be here with you today. Tonight, excuse me. The sun's still out in Denver.
And the sun is down here in Delaware. So, but I received that, and I'm so grateful and thank you for that. Thank you. That definitely uplifted my spirit, and I really appreciate it. For
Absolutely.
those of you who are coming on, welcome. I'm welcoming you to the show. I have here Bishop Foreman. So Bishop, really quick, please tell the audience what it is that you do, and who you are.
Sure. Well, you said it, the people's bishop. We started using that moniker because some people like crowds and don't really enjoy people. And I love the people that I lead, and I love the people whose lives I impact. It's difficult for you to do good for people when you don't really like or love them. And so I just made a decision years ago that I didn't want to be a shepherd that was bitter and hated people. It was just that simple. And so, wherever you're gifted, that's where you're going to be afflicted. And so, love is one of the staples of how Harvest operates, Harvest Church operates, and what we do. And so, that was attacked early on. So, I had to recognize that this is being afflicted because this is where there's something that God has gifted me to do. And so we planted Harvest Church. It's been 17 years ago now here in Denver, Colorado. Denver is 46 out of 50 for the lowest church attendance in the nation. It is 4% African American. So to your question about discipline or whippings, they believe in discipline. They believe in timeout. They believe in no ice cream cones and stuff like that. That's why them kids run around here doing crazy stuff. But anyway, uh, so we planted that, and I got into ministry through music. I started as a drummer, and sort of our family joke is that I came out of my mother's room with a Bible and a briefcase. I was heavily into business, heavily into ministry early on, and it was really God because there was nobody in my bloodline that was that way. There was nobody, I'm the first pastor, I'm the first bishop, I'm the first PhD, I'm the first to achieve certain levels from a business standpoint and other different levels and markers. And so, I know what it is to be a curse breaker. I was born in Denver, but raised in Memphis on the south side, Orange Mound. So for those of your viewers that are Kojic or Pentecostal or whatever, we're up to down the street from Bountiful Blessings and Mason Temple, right around the corner. But we were Baptist though, so the family church was St. Jude Missionary Baptist Church, and which interestingly enough, I just found out yesterday is the same church that Dr. Elaine McCollins Flake of New York. That's the same church she came out. I just found that out yesterday. I was
Okay.
this years old. I was this many years old when I found that out. So, but at any rate, I had a passion for both ministry and the things of God, really, and business early on. Fast forward, got into ministry through music at 12. I was a drummer. I was horrible when I started. I couldn't keep the beat, but I got good. And that's a whole revelation right there, because sometimes people look at what they're good at, and so that's all they do. Not realizing that sometimes what you're called to do, you might not be great at yet. Somebody will drop that in the comments.
Wow.
Yet. You might not be good at this yet. You may not know how to do this yet. So I got good. And then years later, I did a bunch of choir stuff, praise and worship music, learned to do keys and all of that. So I was inducted into the Colorado Gospel Music Hall of Fame years and years ago. Great honor. Didn't even know we had one until I was inducted. It was a great honor to have that. And then you fast forward, we planted church from scratch with nothing. Nobody gave us anything. Nobody helped us. Nobody gave us a piece of toilet paper. And it was the best thing that could have ever happened, because it taught me how to tap into the apostolic grace that I had, which is to take nothing and turn it into something. And so for a lot of those that are watching live, and even those that will watch the replay, sometimes God guides by what he does not provide. Sometimes God shows you what you're supposed to do based on what you cannot do. And so it was great. We planted it, and we had 100 and some people show up for that first service. I stacked it. Every dancer, every mimer, everything you could possibly have, I stacked that service. The next week, it was like 8 people in church. It was a Saturday night service, and fast forward 17 years later, I think over 7,000, some odd people like that have given their lives to the Lord. This year alone, 2,168 people have given their lives to the Lord. Over thousands that are connected. We're a hybrid church, so in buildings and online. In fact, most harvesters have never been in a building, and this was pre-coronavirus. We didn't know. We knew we were going to have to do more than just be in Denver because of the demographic and the area, and we didn't realize we were building a hybrid church before there was even such a thing as that, with apps and all of the different ways to connect. So, I'm very involved in the community, very involved in bettering the lives of people. I want to see people get results in their life, and so we're very involved on the political side, but not on the side that most people see many pastors. If most people see pastors, they're out there picketing, they're marching, and that's great. And I don't knock that. I think that certainly has its place. That's not my assignment. My assignment is to get into rooms with the people who write the legislation and influence the legislation. So when bills are being introduced, you want to know who they call? Bishop, will you look at this bill for me? Colorado, with its 4% African American population, in the heat of the George Floyd protest, I called one of our elected officials and said, James, I said, I need a bill. I said, I'm not getting out there marching. I said, and this is a mess. I said, we need a bill. Fast forward, that was a Friday, a Thursday or a Friday, one of the two. That Friday, the bill gets introduced. He says, Bishop, I got something. I'm going to run this because you called me. I'm going to run this. He introduces the bill. A week and a half later, Colorado, with its 4% African American, has the nation's first comprehensive police reform and accountability act that gave powers to the attorney general to decertify officers when they lie, when they do other things, which was a power that they had never had before. They could just get away with anything. So I say all that to say, you can sum it all up to say that I want to see the lives of people empowered, and I want people to get results. That's what I'm doing this for. And so that's the 5,000 view, or whatever they call it. That's the high level view.
Bishop, you said it all. You said it all, and I don't think we can come after that at all. So you answered about like several of my questions
Well,
in
that's
that
all right.
one. In that one.
Listen, let's talk. I love conversation. I love doing things like this. So let's talk. We good.
Bishop, my one of the questions that I wanted to ask you, and after watching you and what you do, and hearing what you just said, I really want to know, and it's pressing, especially for my audience being millennials and Gen Z, where are we right now? Not just as a people, but where are we right now as the kingdom? I'm not going to say church because we associate church, I'm finding, with just a building. Um, but I the kingdom, meaning all members, all bodies. Where are we right now? With everything going on and
Right.
so many different things happening. Where are we?
Wow, so here's why that's not a linear question to answer. Is because it's what you just said. It's a kingdom, and a kingdom has multiple components: arts and entertainment, business, education, family, government, media, church. And so when you have these seven spheres that make up a kingdom, the reality is it's not a linear answer. Some people would say that the kingdom is not respected. Totally disagree. The kingdom is advancing. Daniel makes it clear that judgment was made in the saints of the Most High God, and the time came that they would possess the kingdom. But here's what's interesting. Luke 17:21 says the kingdom isn't here or there, it's in you, which means wherever I am, his kingdom is. Wherever your viewers are, his kingdom is, which means wherever you are, you're there on assignment to advance a kingdom that he put in you before he ever sent you. Jeremiah chapter 1 says, before I formed you in your mother's womb, I knew you, which means which means he knew you before he gave you a body. So your life didn't begin at conception. You existed pre-conception, which means you had to qualify to get here. Jeremiah 1:5 says, I approved you as my chosen instrument, which means before I was ever sent to the earth, before you were ever sent to the earth, you had to get his approval to qualify to come, which means if I already got his approval to come to get to the earth, I'll be doggone if I let somebody's disapproval on the earth stop me from doing what he called me to do. So the kingdom is advancing. I don't see doom and gloom. I don't see negativity. I know there's a lot of people who want, oh, it's bad. I know, maybe for you, but I live in Goshen. When Egypt was going through the plagues, the Bible says that where God's people lived, it was good. They weren't dealing with the same plagues. And so I am seeing people's lives change, people's lives advance. I can only speak for what the part I'm supposed to hold down. And for the people that are connected to what we're doing, we're seeing new 6 and 7 figure earners created in the midst of an economic recession for the world. We're seeing people that are making, that are stepping into new tax brackets. When other people are saying people don't want the Lord, we're seeing thousands of people give their lives. Our goal this year was 2023 for the whole year. We exceeded our goal in the first 7 months. To God be the glory for that. That's white people, black people, young people, not as young people, people who grew up in church, people who went to school with Jesus, people who got yearbook pictures with the Lord, so, and people who don't know nothing about God, people who smell like weed when they come to church, and then people who, have three-piece suits and have on their Chanel #5, whatever it is. I'm saying that the kingdom is advancing. And I think whenever you are advancing, sometimes you have to be careful that your attitude matches the advancement and not the resistance. And I think for some, when you ask a question like that, their attitude matches the resistance they're dealing with and not the advancement that they're seeing. So because they're dealing with difficulty, they become difficult. And some Christians are just so negative and they're doom and gloom and this why the body this. The body is strong. The body is healthy. It's a body that you can't see. It's not just people. I love what you said. It's not just people in a building. Your denomination is not the whole body. Let's go here. Let's go here. Right-wing Republican evangelicals, they are not the whole body. That is a segment of the body that names his name. But let's be clear. They do not speak for me. They don't speak for me. But guess what? At the end of the day, his body is so much bigger than the monolith that sometimes we look through and we see it because we see it through the lenses of our own thing. But his body is growing, his body is advancing, the kingdom is advancing, and the kingdom needs. Think about it this way. I love that you said millennial and Gen Z. Jesus changed the world with millennials and Gen Z. You do understand that the 12 he picked were between ages of 13 and 21, Peter being the oldest because he was married. Okay? Okay, which means Jesus, a millennial at 30, Jesus changed the world with Gen Z. Let's go here. You look at every major movement, good or bad, in the world, it was all with millennial and Gen Z. So when people say, these millennials and Gen Z, I'm like, this is amazing because I'm looking out at the people I'm leading and they're every age and people who've never known church and people that whatever. And they're on fire for God and passionate and advancing the kingdom. And I think that the truth of that is that, to your question, is the kingdom is advancing and it is growing and lives are changing and God needs, in fact, he prefers, if you want the truth, to use millennials and Gen Z. That's his preference.
Bishop, you're going to start a fight.
Well, listen, let's fight there. Look, I'm from South Memphis, so I got a teaspoon of hood, so let's go.
You're gonna start a war with these traditional churches who do not want to change their minds about what God is doing. And I have said this countless times. I believe in the foundation of what God has put before us. Mm-hmm. The word will always be the foundation. But yes. I am a firm believer in how God does things. Mm-hmm. We put God in a box so much sometimes that we forget that he's God. So how he may operate or how he may move is different than what we could even fathom or think or imagine. Which explains why he says, my ways are not your ways, my thoughts are not your thoughts.
Correct.
But I love what you said, and I definitely see the kingdom moving, which is why my next question to you is, how should we help this generation get into a place of, number one, knowing who they are, number two, understanding their call, and number three, putting activation to their call?
I love it. So one, let me say this. In tradition, and even traditional style churches have their place. Like, differences don't have to be demonized. And I think that's one of the things that I dislike about God's people, is that if it's different, it's a demon. Y'all got these lights off. That's demonic. No, we just don't like the lights on. Okay.
Right.
And if you're trying to reach people who don't, somebody said something to me so powerful that changed everything years ago. It's a gentleman who used to do this big festival here called Heaven Fest. And in Colorado, he would have like 30,000 people come out to this music, like a music fest, which is big anywhere. But in Colorado, that's a unicorn. And it's Christian music. That was majority CCN, Christian music. But my point is that's big anywhere. But in Colorado, it was like, this is the second coming of Jesus Christ. Like, this is it. And so he said something to me. He said, Bishop, have you ever been to a mosque? I said, no. He said, you ever been to a Hindu temple? I said, no. He said, how do you think you would respond if you walked into that environment? I said, well, me, I'm going to walk in and be quiet, and then I'm going to take over. I said, that's me. I'm going to walk in, I'm going to be a student, I'm going to study, and then before you know it, I'm going to be, look, we're going to have them, we're going to go in. And he said,
Right.
think of how awkward it would be, though, because you're going to see these people taking their shoes off. You're going to see these people dressed differently. You're going to see a totally different cultural experience when you walk in here. He said, that's what it is for people when they come to church and they never been. He said, you have to do everything to take away as many challenges, as many obstacles to people so that they can actually receive. Because while you know church, he said, you're reaching people who don't. And so that changed everything. That changed how I dressed. I'm a suit and tie guy. I love suit and tie. Well, Justin Timberlake, suit and tie. I'm a suit and tie guy. I'm a bishop. I like my robes. I paid a lot of money for them robes. I like my robes. I like my caskets. But I recognize, especially where I'm at currently, they don't know what that is. That they think that's a dress. They don't know what that is. They don't understand what that collar looks like. I was walking down the street one day and somebody said, "Oh, bless me, Father." And I'm like, "I ain't got no kids." I said, "Wait a minute." I said, "I ain't got no kids. I ain't got no kids." I said, "What are you doing?" I didn't know, and he didn't know, and so it changed everything. It changed my approach. It changed how we do worship. If you're not from church and you walk in and these bright white lights are all on you, somebody staring you down in the face, that's uncomfortable, right? So just
Right.
simple things that when we started doing it, everybody wasn't doing. Now everybody does it. When we started doing it, you would have thought I was, bringing strippers and putting them on the stage or something. When we started, it was crazy. And so, but to me, I said, if a person's not used to church and they go to a concert, those house lights are not going to be up. So something as simple as that. I said, so then bring the house lights down. I said, make it an experience so that people who don't know the Lord, you're taking away as many obstacles from them hearing that message. So let's not make it uncomfortable. So by the time that they hear me speak, they're so uncomfortable, they can't even lift their hands to receive the Lord.
Right.
Let's make sure that people are, simple things that we did in church. And I'm just saying this about the traditional church. Simple things that we did. In a lot of churches, everybody's brother this, sister this. Don't knock that. I said, and here's how I learned it. A person came in who came from a Catholic background and they thought those were nuns and deacons because that's what they call them in the Catholic Church. So they were like,
Right.
so when are you all going to wear your, I forget what they call it in the Roman Catholic Church. And somebody was like, what are you talking about? They said, well, this is Sister So-and-so. Yeah, that's one of the nuns. I thought, okay. To me, that made no sense. But when you're trying to reach people from backgrounds that if you're going to go fishing, you need to make sure you use the right bait. So anyway, I say that to say traditional churches have their place. That's not negative. We don't have to demonize differences. Just because somebody does it different, that's going to reach that type of fish. That being said, to millennials, one, knowing who you are, I think is important. One, recognizing that you're God's choice. A lot of times people say you need to know who you are in Christ. The reality is you're going to constantly discover who you are. That's going to be a constant discovery. See, Paul, at one point, you're going to be this fighting force where you think you're doing God's will by killing Christians. Paul, then you're going to evolve to discover that what you were doing is wrong. So now you're going to become one that is a Christian. But then you're going to evolve again because you're not just going to be a Christian, you're going to be a Christian leader. Then you're going to evolve again because even though you're an educated Hebrew who studied at the feet of one of the leading rabbis, Gamaliel of the day, you're going to reach Gentiles. Wait a minute, this doesn't even make sense. Peter's the thug. Peter's hood. Why is Peter reaching Hebrews and you are reaching Gentiles? This doesn't even make sense because it doesn't match your background. And for somebody watching, you got to hear me. Your background is preparation, but it is not your final destination. Let me back that. There you go. Your background is preparation, but it is not your final destination. So you're going to constantly evolve. So when people say you need to know who you are in Christ, the truth is that that's going to constantly evolve. Who you are today better not be who you are next week, who you are next month, who you are thereafter. So one, you have to recognize that I'm his choice, and part of being his choice means he's going to constantly evolve me. He's going to constantly take me through a process. The moment I think I've arrived, worst thing you could do, because he's going to say, okay, now let me break it down and do it all over again. You're like a butterfly. Four stages to the growth of a butterfly. One is as small as a sesame seed on a sesame seed bun. Stage two, it becomes 100 times its size, but it's only a caterpillar, which means stage one doesn't look like stage two, but stage two doesn't make sense when you get to stage three because it has all of this progress. And then at stage three, it goes as a cocoon in the ground or behind the leaf. It stays there for 2 years, up to 2 years, as little as 2 weeks, predicated upon how big it's going to be. When you talk about the larger of the butterflies, the monarch, the king butterfly, those have to stay in underground longer because of the size of what they'll become. For somebody watching, you're like, God, I just feel like I'm overlooked for now. I just feel like nobody's paying attention to me for now. I just feel like my gifts aren't being used for now. Because when I went into the cocoon, I walked everywhere I went. When I went into the cocoon, I was on the dirt. I was in the ground. I walked on feces. When I was in the cocoon, before I went into the cocoon, I was looking at other insects. But when I come out of the cocoon, I have tools that I didn't have before because I didn't need wings in stage two. But in stage four, I fly to get to where I go. See, stage two, I walked to get to where I was going. Stage four, I'm flying to get to where I'm going. Stage two, I was on the ground with everybody else. Stage four, I'm looking down on what I used to be in. And so when you recognize that you're God's choice, you're going to constantly evolve. And so sometimes people say you need to know who you are in Christ. That's who you are today. That's not who you're going to be next week. You should be growing. Glory to glory, faith to faith. Number two, you said, what do you do in terms of, I believe it was development and preparation. And I think everybody, you got to identify who's your voice and then latch on to it. Like, who are you assigned to? The body of Christ talks a lot about spiritual fathers and mentors, but I discovered that sometimes the issue isn't that there are people who, it's not that there's no Pauls, it's just that there's very few Timothys.
Say that again, Bishop.
Paul said it like this: I have nobody else like Timothy. Now, just think about this. This man has preached the gospel in 2 years and 3 months. He preached to all of what they knew to be Asia at the time. It wasn't all through China and Tibet and all that. It was all of what the Roman Empire knew Asia to be at the time. Right. So Paul has preached to thousands of people. And out of thousands of people, he says, I only got two. And out of those two, I only have one that's for real, my son. That's Timothy, and Titus. That's it. So even then, it wasn't a shortage of his willingness to pour. It was that there was a lack of attention from somebody to be poured into. Because for some people, the moment that they figure out they have a gift, now all of a sudden they want to begin using that gift and they don't want to submit that gift. See, I wasn't that way. I submitted, even to this day. I'm a man in authority, but I'm a man under authority. I don't make any major moves without getting clearance from my man of God. My late bishop passed away in 2017. And after that, I said, God, no one will replace bishop, but somebody has to check me. Who gonna check me, boo? Somebody got to check me. I said, somebody has to be able to say, shut up and sit down somewhere, right? I don't care what I'm over. I don't care what I accomplished. I don't care what I have. Somebody has to be able to say, if you don't get it, what are you doing? And not that I'm even wilding out, but somebody has to be given, you have to invite someone into that space. So I say to everybody watching, who's your voice? Who can check you? Who can say, nope, you can't do that? Who can you say, this is what I think, this is what I believe God told me to do. Nope, that ain't God. Do it again. Nope. That level of submission, to be honest with you, we don't really see that anymore. And there's all kinds of reasons we could get into maybe another time, but that level of submission, God will only allow you to succeed to your level of submission. This is why we don't see much long-lasting success. We see shooting stars, but as fast as they go up, as fast as they fall.
Wow.
Because whenever God wants you to reign long, he makes this you submit strong. You know, when Saul stopped submitting, that's when God was like, I'm done with him.
Yeah.
David was a work. Okay, let's talk. Saul did one bad thing. He disobeyed God one time that we see in the Bible. Mm-hmm. David lied, conspiracy to commit murder, sleeping with his friend's wife. This is this is a Lifetime movie mixed with a reality TV show. This is some shade room type stuff.
Right.
Why is David known as a man after God's own heart and Saul is only remembered for suicide? Because Saul's heart towards submission was that I'm not doing it. David's heart was, Nathan, what'd you say? Okay. What'd you say? Samuel, what'd you say? Okay, good. I'm submitted to God and I'm submitted to the man of God God's assigned me to. I'm submitted to that voice. And so God could trust him. That's why David, it took him 17 years to get ready, but he reigned for 40 years. His reign lasted way longer than his preparation. So, you know, I say to everybody, and I know this has been a long answer, but as you can see, this is a passionate topic for me. I think everybody has to say, who's my voice? And then I attach to it. I'm not looking for the new flavor of the week. I'm not looking for the new, who's my voice? And I attach, and I'm hooked. And that's the end of the discussion. That's the end of the discussion. This doesn't mean you can't be inspired by people and informed, but no, it doesn't mean that at all. It just means who's my voice? And I attach to that voice. And I do everything I can do to make that man's vision come to pass. Because if I do it for another, God's going to do it for me. Who would give you your own, the Bible says, if you've not been faithful with that of another? And that goes down to gifts. Maybe somebody says, I don't want a church. That's fine. You have to want a church, but you want a business. You want a family. You want to succeed. So who have you made succeed? And then thirdly, when you talk about activation, I think activation really comes through what I just said. Activation comes through submission. Let's use Elijah and Elisha. Elisha, you ain't even thinking about being no prophet. Bruh, Elisha, I don't even like bruh. So that means I'm going to get real with it when I say bruh. I don't even like the word. You aren't even thinking about being no prophet. You ain't thinking about it. You are literally herding ox, which means you were doing your family business, which teaches us something different. Because in Hebrew culture, everybody wanted to be a man of God. When you weren't good enough to apprentice a rabbi, do you know what they said? The rabbis would say, go and do your father's trade. So what was Elisha doing? Elisha was in the family business, which he was herding the ox. Those were his father and mother. That was their family business, which means you've already been rejected by the religious system. So you're doing what you don't want to do, but it's the only thing you can do because the religious system told you you ain't good enough to do this. So when Elijah shows up and throws his mantle on him, he follows him. But let's go deeper. He says, let me go kiss my mother and father goodbye. Yeah. Elijah says to him, again? What have I done to you? Here's the operative word, again, which means this isn't the first time God's given you a chance.
Wow.
This is the first time God's given you a shot. And the last time I said, let's go, you ran to your family and your family talked you out of your call.
Yeah.
So this time, I'm telling you, don't play no games. And he follows him and he does double the miracles that Elijah does. It's just as simple. It's just to say you are God's choice. God's assigned you to a voice. Once you're assigned to that voice, you gotta, keep it moving.
If y'all are just coming in and watching and you miss any of that, I don't know what to tell you. You have to go back and rewatch that because that was worth $5,000 and you just missed it for free. Like you just listen, Bishop. We will be right back, guys. Stay on. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back. right, you guys, we are back. I know y'all saw the commercial, and I know y'all seen on there where it said "Get your T-shirts." Please get a T-shirt. I personally make those myself. They're only $20. Y'all spend $20 at McDonald's. You spend $20 at Wendy's.
Man,
Please get
wait
a
a minute.
T-shirt
Y'all get these T-shirts, but is that true? Spending $20 at Wendy's?
at Wendy's, Bishop at Wendy's.
See, so I haven't eaten fast food since 2013 because I've lost about 120 pounds, and one of the things I cut was fast food. I remember going to Wendy's. You ready?
Uh
With $6 and coming out with a feast because they had the dollar
huh.
menu. You get a spicy nugget, a junior bacon cheeseburger, a fry, and a frosty, and then
Yeah.
whatever bonus you wanted to get. And with five plus the tax, $6 is all you need.
Well, Bishop, they brought that back. They have the $6 biggie bags and the $5 biggie bags now. So you get
Okay.
a little bit of a choice.
Oh, listen, I said $20 at Wendy's. What? You only spent that much when it was more than one person, and you was feeling real bougie, and you get the spicy chicken sandwich meal,
Right,
and you
right.
didn't decide it.
Oh, listen, guys, I am here with my special guest, Bishop Kevin Foreman, the People's Bishop. If you guys are just coming in, welcome to Late Night Madness Show. Unfortunately, I'm getting ready to give Bishop the floor to minister for a couple of minutes, and then we're getting off of here. But before that, I want to say thank you to all of you who came on, and thank you to Bishop Foreman, who graciously worked around my schedule to come on and be with us. I'm gonna have to tell the wife we're gonna have to plan a trip to come get on a plane trip again to come in and visit and support. Um, so Bishop, to end the show, I always do this with all of my guests. Oh, did we lose? Okay, there we go. Um, as I always do with all of my guests, Bishop, if you had 60 seconds, um, and a group of millennials was in front of you, what would you tell them to launch them into their next dimension?
Mm. One, you might be young, but you're ready. You don't have
Oh,
to wait. You don't have to wait to make unnecessary mistakes before you decide to take both your life, your call, and your future serious. The sooner you decide that it matters that you were born, the sooner you're going to do something major with your life. So make the decision today and then take the action today. Life moves at the speed of your decisions, not just of your thoughts. So when you decide that one, I am God's choice. Two, I was born for the time that the earth needed me most. There is something in me that the earth needs. And I would be robbing the earth of what God sent me to the earth for. And I refuse to be a graveyard. The greatest, most valuable place on the planet is in a bank. It's not JP Morgan. It's not Chase. It's not Citigroup. It is not certainly not Wells Fargo. The greatest and most valuable place on the planet is the graveyard because it is full of what people refuse to do because they wouldn't take action. And the number one reason people won't take action is because of fear. And fear will paralyze you, it will cripple you, it will have you afraid to take chances, afraid to do something that you are well able and equipped to do. So decide that your life matters, take action that your life matters, and then decide that you're going to do it in the face of fear. The opposite of fear isn't faith. Faith and fear aren't opposites. No, the opposite of faith is certainty. The opposite of faith is certainty, meaning I know what's going to happen. Well, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So that action you take is going to have to be an action by faith, which means some things you're going to have to do, you're going to have to jump. Some things you're gonna have to do, you're gonna have to walk on water. Some things you're gonna have to do, you're gonna have to do it with no cosigner, nobody backing you up. It's just gonna be you and God. But you and God is more than enough. If God be for you, who in the world would be against you? And the worst possible things that happen is that you fail. And guess what? Failure is not the end. It's the most important ingredient in success. You disarm the enemy when he can't threaten you with anything. Get up, go make it happen. That's longer than 60 seconds, but I think that
It works. It works. It, it works. Listen, Bishop, thank you so much. I thank you so much. I appreciate it. We are definitely going to have you back.
I'd love
We're
to
going to have
continue
you
that
back.
pleasure.
But I'm so grateful. Bishop, how can they get in touch with you? How can they connect with you? Um,
Great question. And again, let me just thank you for having me. I appreciate the opportunity. Would love to come back. I love doing this. And again, love and salute the work that you are doing. And so keep it moving, keep going. You never know the lives that you impact and how small, what you think is small can be major to somebody else. One little line can change somebody else's life. When we were in Atlanta this last week doing a pop-up service because we're doing a new location there, we were in Atlanta. A woman came up to me, a young woman came up to me, and the whole service. I mean, she was up, she was standing up, she barely sit down the whole nine. And when she did that, she came out during my meet and greet line, and when she came out, she opened up her Instagram, and it was a message that she had sent me. And she was so shocked that I responded to her. She saved the message from 3 years ago. The message was from 3 years ago in 2020. And she said, I just wanted to remind you that I told you da 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 da. And I told you that, she had some other things that she said. And I thought, wow, it took me 30 seconds, but that 30 seconds impacted her life so that she gave her life to the Lord and so many amazing things. So I just want to say that to you, Dr. Felder. You are having an impact in lives where you don't even know it. You may not see it. You may sometimes be like, what's going on? You are impacting lives. So I appreciate you and salute you and to all of your guests and viewers. I saw one of our harvesters on there, Chrissy, and it's so good to see her. But let me say, you can connect with me on all social media at Bishop Foreman. Bishop. It's just like in the name tag right there. Bishop Foreman on all social media. Would love to connect with you there. People can go to harvestchurch.church, get the information. We're in Denver, expanding to the Atlanta area. Super excited about that. And we're a hybrid church, so we're online. And you can literally watch anywhere across America, around the world, harvestchurch.church. But would love to connect and love to speak life into your life. Every age. Everybody's included. Nobody's excluded.
Again, thank you. I'm going to send you to the back so I can end the show. But again, thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Listen, y'all, if you just missed this man talking, you need to go back and rewatch this video. I'm not even gonna go. I can't even go over top of what we just talked about. And I can't. Listen. I love y'all. Thank you for coming on the Late Night Madness show. It has been real. Y'all have Bishop on here saying, "Bruh." Bishop said he don't even like bruh. Y'all done brought the hood out the man. Because listen, some of these topics we've been talking about, especially when he was talking about submission, having a voice, a leader. I tell y'all all the time, especially our younger generation, get you a covering. If you don't want to, if you don't like the word covering, leader. You don't like the word leader, voice, something. But get you somebody that can hold you accountable. Accountability is needed. You do not want to be. I'll say it for Bishop because Bishop can't say it, but I'll say it. You do not want to be a bastard running around here not being covered or submitted to anybody. You don't want to do that. It's my show. Who gonna check me? You ain't gonna check me, so it's okay. It's all right. But we've been talking about. But anyway, I love y'all. I will see y'all on Monday at 9 p.m. Don't be late. I start at 9, not 9:01 or 2, 9 o'clock on the dot. So be there. Again, I have been your lovely host, Dr. Isaiah Felder. And I pray that you guys have a blessed rest of your weekend. And once again, good night. Love you guys.